Hello, everyone. Just doing a webinar recording for those that can't attend our live sessions or our open houses. So we'd like to acknowledge that we stand on the traditional territories of the Nihio, Dene, Nakota Sioux, Anishinaabe, Niitsitapi, and within the Métis homeland under Treaty 6. This land, a historic gathering place for diverse Indigenous peoples, shapes our commitment to fostering innovation, cooperation, and shared growth. We honor the enduring presence and deep connection of Indigenous peoples to this land, drawing on their traditions of resilience, respect, and community to enrich our collective endeavors in Edmonton and across Alberta. With gratitude, we embrace our responsibility to engage with reconciliation, respect Treaty 6, and cultivate partnerships that contribute to a legacy of mutual respect, understanding, and prosperity for all who share this land. So this is a presentation by the Homestead Investment Cooperative. And it's an opportunity to invest in the first building in a portfolio of cooperatively owned Alberta real estate assets powered by coworking, starting on Edmonton's historic Jasper Avenue. So why did we choose a community investment cooperative for this project? Well, when we were looking at various models that are available to us, one of our main things was to allow for a vehicle to allow for community investment into real estate. We really liked the cooperative model of local empowerment. And so, bringing in the local community, allowing investors to have one member, one vote, democratic decision making, that was really important to us. The shared prosperity, so all investors are treated equally and gain equally together. The social impact that cooperatives allow us to have and to be able to collaborate with other socially minded organizations across Canada. The greater political influence, so the more investors we have, the more bigger our community, and we know that we are going to attract people that are influential, that get things done, that are doers across the province. And when we need to solve a problem, whether it's a regulatory or policy related or other issues, we know that having that collective and that larger community to work through that problem, and if we need to deal with different levels of government, we will have that influence to do so. And we also like the long-term vision piece to this. So this is a long-term investment proposition. We're looking for investors that want to invest for 5 years minimum. And the reason for that is that this takes a lot of time and effort to build up a community of this size and scale. And it takes time to let the process work. So we want people to understand that this is going to be a 5-year minimum investment. So the story starts with myself. I had an opportunity to purchase the building that we're looking at buying through the Homestead Investment Cooperative. Purchased it with a group of private investors. I was a small minority shareholder. When the building came for sale after CKUA moved out in 2012. So we purchased it somewhere around the end of 2013. And it hadn't been touched in probably over 60 years. So, it had lots of upgrades needed. And, a lot of the mechanical, electrical systems were old and not able to be continued forward. But the vision was to take a historic red brick building on Jasper Ave, breathe new life into it, and fill it from top to bottom with entrepreneurs and creators and doers that were building something great in Edmonton. And it also became, one of the first locations of our co-working space here in Edmonton, Homestead Coworking. And that was an idea that I had. I started my business in 2012. It was a real estate development business. And I did not want to work alone. I wanted to work alongside my peers and other collaborators that we could be working together and they could be helping me solve problems in my business and I could help them solve problems in their business. And so I knew that was a model that I wanted to bring to Edmonton and I wanted to build my business in. I had traveled to cities across North America where co-working spaces were breathing life into the entrepreneurial community. And I thought, wasn't that a great thing to bring to Edmonton? So I founded the original Homestead Coworking business. I also was building sustainable real estate projects here in Edmonton, part of the Blatchford. I was one of the first developers in Blatchford, building sustainable housing. The Alberta Block project that we did was a deep energy retrofit, which I'll get into a bit later. Built an apartment building that was highly energy efficient. So really focused on energy efficiency, sustainability, and social impact. And over the 10 years, I was also wanting to add an element of community investment to the Alberta Block. So we were building a community inside the building with our co-working spaces and the other tenants in the building. And it was becoming a bustling hub of creativity and innovation. And that was fantastic. But I also wanted to bring a community investment model to the project. And I'd looked at a few different models over the years, but nothing really grabbed my attention until I was talking with Don Iveson just as he was ending his mayoral term. And this was post-COVID. And I was thinking, we need community now more than ever post-COVID. And now might be the time to really investigate that community investment model that I've been wanting to do over 10 years. So we met and discussed the options and what that could look like. And he joined me in this journey. And we founded the Homestead Investment Cooperative. And since then, we've had other board members join us. And so Jacqueline Cardinal, who's founder and CEO at Naheoan, a storytelling and education social enterprise. She works to integrate and mobilize diverse knowledge systems to realize the promise of our treaties. And interestingly enough, I met her through Homestead Coworking. She was one of our first dedicated desk users here in the Alberta Block. Just as the paint was drying and we still had some drywall dust, and we got to know each other. And she has been a major collaborator with Homestead Coworking. Kyla Kazale is co-owner of the Bamboo Ballroom, the Bamboo Stockroom, the Common, 9910, and Foods Repair Shop. She combines her passion for music, culture, fashion, and Edmonton. And she's actually part owner of Foods Repair Shop, which is our main tenant on our main floor. And the reason why they came into the building was because I approached them 2 years ago when we needed a tenant for the main floor. And I explained to them the Homestead Investment Cooperative model that we wanted to bring to this building. And that was really the piece that attracted them to the building. They knew, we've been paying large amounts of rent to our landlords with all of our businesses that she and her partners own. But they have never had a chance to actually own a piece of the real estate that they pay rent into. And so they jumped at the chance here in Alberta Block, moved their Foods Repair Shop business over to our location, and have been running it successfully ever since. So she's been a great addition to our building and great addition to our board. Then we have Heather Kirschbaumer, who's founder and CEO at Golden Acre Seeds. Heather runs a fourth-generation family farm in the Peace Country in Northern Alberta. Heather has extensive board experience and 25 years of leadership positions on boards across Canada. And her and I met, I live up by Fairview, which is where she also lives. And we are also establishing a cooperative in the Fairview area for economic development opportunities there. And we have been big collaborators since we met, which I think was around 3 years ago. And she's a mover and shaker and doer, and I'm very happy to have her on our board. And then Marilyn Hooper, who has over 2 decades of experience in government, public relations, and community engagement, and has built a career at the intersection of politics, policy, and advocacy. And she recently joined our board and has just been a connector, community builder. She brings so much energy to our board. We're so appreciative to have her join us. And as you can see, we have a very powerful board growing, and we're looking forward to adding a few more board members in the coming months. So a little bit more about the building. You can see the black and white photo shows, the building in the early 1900s. There's a sign there. It says Provincial Treasury Branch. It was one of the first locations of Alberta Treasury Branch in Edmonton. And we actually, during the renovation, found 5 different vaults throughout the main floor and second floor in the building, and we've retained 2 of them that are getting repurposed for different uses. And it was home to a furrier at one point, dealing with the Hudson's Bay Company fur trade. And the 1950s, CKUA radio moved into it and owned it from the 1950s to 2012 when they moved out to their new location. And during that time, it's had a rich history of musicians and artists and creators and social impact organizations under its roof. And we met a couple months ago with some of the retired employees of CKUA who told us amazing stories of their experience in the building during that time. So it's got an outstanding cultural heritage, and as a fixture on Jasper Ave, we have the ghost murals of CKUA still on the building, and intend to maintain those. And now it's a place for entrepreneurs and creators and builders and doers of Alberta to come together and create amazing businesses and products and services together. So when we bought it in 2013, it went under a deep retrofit, energy retrofit with a new insulation, new roof, new elevator, new mechanical, electrical, windows, and structural upgrades. And we really focused on low op costs. So the new windows were the highest grade commercial windows we could get with triple pane fiberglass windows. Electrical, mechanical, we went with high energy efficiency systems to make sure op costs would be lower. The insulation, so on the roof, we went with R50 roof insulation, and we applied insulation to the exterior walls so that they wouldn't be drafty or create tenant discomfort. And then there's the structural, we thought ahead and planned for a rooftop patio. So in that bottom right-hand corner, that picture there, that's the rooftop. The main building, the first 4 stories were built in 1909. And then there was an addition on the back of 6 stories. That's why you see the building pop up in the back. And that was built in 1913. And what that's done is created this L shape to the building that allows us this large rooftop patio to be built in the future. And that's something that we want to do as soon as the Homestead Investment Cooperative buys the building. That would allow us to create additional revenue and increase the value of the building. And we've talked with Foods Repair Shop about facilitating food and beverage up on that roof, and which would make us allow us to host events and stuff. So it's currently leased with a 4% vacancy and currently appraised at 8.85 million. We do have a purchase agreement in place for 8.75 million. And like I mentioned, we have the opportunity to add additional revenue by developing the rooftop patio. And there is additional basement square footage to add additional storage areas. So a little bit of information about the market. So the commercial real estate vacancies in downtown Edmonton are decreasing now, which is great to see. We've had a number of conversions of office towers to residential, as well as people are moving back downtown post-COVID. And currently there's few or no opportunities for small investors and companies to participate in ownership of commercial real estate in Edmonton. So especially downtown Edmonton. Downtown Edmonton, before presenting this model and this opportunity, would only be available for investment by high net worth individuals and REITs across the country, and foreign investors. And so the ability to own commercial real estate in downtown Edmonton and buy in for, starting minimum of $10,000, which is what we're offering, that is just unheard of. And that's the point of us doing this, is to make the investment in commercial real estate in places like downtown Edmonton attainable to smaller investors. So a little bit more about our model. It is a cyclical and a symbiotic relationship. So when we have a strong tenancy in our building and strong community, that creates a stronger building, which then creates a stronger co-op community, and so on. So, we want engaged investors, we want engaged entrepreneurs. We want to be building a community where people are are building each other up and mentoring each other and learning about each other's businesses and goals and helping each other achieve those goals. We want to focus on growing and underserved companies. We want to provide services that go beyond co-working, so those mentorship opportunities and supporting services. And we want to create investment opportunities for our members and for the community. We will and we have grown companies, so that we have many stories of companies that have started in our co-working space just as a dedicated desk or a small office. And then their company has grown up and out actually of our co-working space. So, they've outgrown the spaces that we can offer them and moved on to other buildings. Through this investment model, we want to then add the ability to create wealth for our investors and tenants where they invest in the actual buildings themselves, and then expand the model to other communities. So this is planned to be the first project of many. We want to expand to other projects across Alberta, more buildings within Edmonton itself, but also in Calgary, in Grand Prairie, Red Deer, Fort McMurray, anywhere where there's that entrepreneurial spirit and there's opportunities in those markets for real estate. As members of our co-working space, but also our investor network, we can provide co-working spaces for you to grow in, ongoing peer mentoring opportunities, connection to social enterprise and social impact organizations across Canada, the ability to invest in the real estate, access to our co-op investor network, and connection to our co-op alumni member network. How will we build revenue? So our main source of revenue is through the tenant leases in the building. And then in addition to that, we want to have premium professional development events where we sell tickets. In the future, we hope to host conferences. In the future, you want to be able to have brokerage fees for spaces that tenants graduate to. So as I mentioned, through the co-working model, we've had tenants outgrow our spaces. We would love to grow with them and go acquire more buildings that they can grow into and work with them on their growth trajectories. Space rentals on future amenities. So I talk about that rooftop patio and future real estate acquisitions. So we definitely want to expand this model across Alberta. So this current offering is a $9 million deal structure. And that's with the $8.75 million purchase of the building. We have $150,000 in closing costs and $100,000 working capital reserve fund that we want to keep just for anything that happens in the building. Scenario 1 is raise 100% of the capital through private investments. So through these offering memorandums, you create a minimum raise and a maximum raise. So scenario 1 would be our maximum raise number of $9 million. And this would allow opportunistic refinancing and sooner expansion to the next building. So if we raised more than the minimum, that gives us an advantageous negotiating power with lenders and for placing financing. And that would give us, when we place financing, would give us additional funds to go buy more buildings. Scenario 2 is where we raise the majority of the funds through private investment, but then finance the balance up to $4.375 million with a commercial mortgage, achieving leverage. So that option is our minimum raise and a slower growth trajectory just because we will not have additional funds to go buy more buildings. We'll have to do a future raise to buy another building in the future. So we've done a phase raise approach for this project. The first phase was friends, family, and close business associates, just to get the ball rolling. And then phase 2, which is the phase we're in, is the public offering memorandum. And that's currently open. The first 1 million raised received 4% discount on face value of shares issued. And the second million raised will get 2% discount to incentivize early commitment. So buy-in returns. So we have 3 classes of shares. The first class is Class A membership share, and everyone needs to have one to join the cooperative. It's a $250 one-time fee. And then you choose from your investment shares, which are either Class B at $10,000 minimum with $1,000 increments, or Class C, which is $100,000 minimum with $5,000 increments. Our projected annual returns are at least 6%. That's based on the current leases in the building, but that does not include the long-term gains in the building's equity over time. So the founders served as the initial board. We've fronted all costs to date and have committed to over 280,000 in share purchases. We do not receive management fees for putting the deal together, but instead we receive some additional shares just as a token of thank you for all the time that we've put into this over the years. But that only gets issued once the building actually is purchased and we close on the deal. So there's high incentive for the board to get to our milestones and purchase the building. We currently have 6 directors, but we can have up to 9 directors. So we have 3 positions available. And one of those positions are reserved for the Class C investors. We've given the Class C investors 1 seat at the board where they can vote their representative at the annual general meeting to represent their interests. And as I mentioned before, we got 1 member, 1 vote at general meetings. So what is your role as an investor? It's to join our mentor community and help the next generation of leaders, creators, and innovators thrive. Refer like-minded potential tenants, mentors, and investors. So we're looking to grow our investment community right now. And as we add more investors, we want them to leverage their networks and bring in other investors as well. And participate in 1 member, 1 vote general meetings to make key strategic decisions with the co-op community. I'd like to mention that we created the H100 Club. So that's the first 100 member investors will receive recognition in a prominent place in Alberta Block and an original H100 keepsake for display in your home or office. So just as a summary of the offering terms. So I mentioned the 3 classes of shares, the Class A, Class B, and Class C. We have the minimum and maximum offering amounts, so minimum 4.625 million and maximum 9 million. Our voting rights are 1 member, 1 vote at cooperative general meetings, and the Class C shareholder group may elect 1 board member. Our rights on dissolution are proportionate share of net assets after liabilities. For dividends, its board of directors will issue on investment shares based on annual operating results. Our time horizon is minimum 5 years before redemption, unless under extraordinary circumstances. And I mentioned before the use of the funds raised. So with our minimum raise scenario, it'd be 4.375 million for a building down payment, 150,000 for closing costs, $100,000 for working capital, and then the rest of the money would come from financing. For our maximum raise scenario, we would put a down payment on the building of 8.75 million, so the full purchase price for the building, have $150,000 in closing costs and $100,000 of working capital. And that's the one where we would then place financing after the fact, negotiate our best terms, and then go buy more buildings. One thing that's important to note is that the funds are all held in trust until the building sale closes. So if for any reason we don't complete the sale and we don't extend the offering, then and we don't meet our minimum raise, then all funds get returned to the investors 100%. So your funds get held in trust until we close the purchase of the building. This investment is RSP and TFSA eligible, which I think is a huge thing to note. So if you have existing RSP or TFSA investments at a financial institution or another investment firm, you can actually transfer those through the Canadian Workers Cooperative Federation, also called Common Good Capital. You can transfer it through them, and the funds can be invested into our project through their RSP vehicle and TFSA vehicle. And many investors have been doing that. So that is an important piece to know. You don't necessarily have to come up with new cash to invest if you want to invest through an existing RSP and TFSA. The current deadlines are the building sale closing October 31st, 2025, and the offering is currently open until September 29th, 2025. So why does this matter? So, I mentioned in the beginning how building a business in a community of like-minded entrepreneurs and builders and doers was important to me. And now we want to add a community of investors to that model. And with that, we think that we can represent a beacon of growth and prosperity in our province and really grow an amazing group of investors, creators, and builders that can get some things done in Alberta over the next 10 to 20 years. And just to address some of the common FAQs that we get, is it difficult to sell shares in a co-op ownership model? What if I want to get my money out early? So I mentioned earlier that redemption can occur after 5 years, and redemption is where the co-op actually can buy your shares from you. And during that time, uh, every year after the 5-year mark, up to 10% of our investors can opt for the redemption option, and the co-op can buy the shares off of them. So that's an option. But also, after you purchase your shares and you receive your share certificates, 4 months following that, you can actually sell your shares to another existing investor in our community, or you can bring in a new investor to our community and sell your shares. So there is a way to divest out of the project before that 5-year mark. Also in the future, if the cooperative decides to sell the building or sell the assets, that's another way that the whole community could divest out of a particular building. What are the benefits for investors who live outside of Edmonton? So we do have a number of investors, some from other provinces, some from rural Alberta. And the reason why they've invested is because they like to diversify their real estate portfolio and their investment portfolio. Edmonton is a growing market with lots of new, the population is growing, and we have new people moving, new migration to Edmonton every year. So Edmonton is expected to grow substantially in the next decade, and they want to invest in that market. And the cooperative gives them a vehicle to do that without them having to deal with the headache of being a landlord in a market where they don't live and reside in. The other thing is they also really like the community aspect. So they're joining an investment community and getting to know other investors and like-minded people across across Canada, really, actually. So anyone outside of Alberta that lives in another province can invest in this investment. What is the difference between this investment in a GSC or an investment in a REIT? Well, those are very different investment models. They don't give you the voting rights at the general meetings to vote on where your money is going. Oftentimes, you don't actually know where your money is being invested in at a more global level through GICs and REITs. And through this cooperative model, you'll know exactly what, the location of the buildings that you're investing in. You'll be able to visit them if you want to. We'll be hosting events at them, and you can attend those events, as well as annually you will get a chance to vote on strategic decisions related to those investments, and even join the board if that's something that you want to do. So it's a much more engaged way of investing. It's high impact investing. You're investing in your local economy, in your local community, and you're getting to see exactly the impact that your investment is having, besides just the financial returns. What is the desired next addition to the portfolio? So we are open to anyone bringing forward their ideas and potential projects that they want to present. We will have a working group that is established to establish the criteria for the next addition to the portfolio. And, we'll set that criteria and vet any future projects against that criteria, and then bring it to the larger investment community to have a vote on which next buildings they want to invest in. We'll be looking for sure at markets that are stable or growing, where there's high investment energy and entrepreneurial energy there. And we'll be definitely polling our investment community for ideas and desires of where they want to go next. So next steps, if you're interested in investing, we have an online investor portal, and you can gain access to that by either emailing grow@homesteadcowork.ca or going to homesteadcowork.ca/HIC. And there's buttons there for Class B or Class C shares to sign up to our investor portal. You set up your investor profile. You review the due diligence documents on the investor portal. So that's where we have our building condition report, building appraisal, cash flow projections, and any other information that you need to know, our full offering memorandum, any other information you need to know to make an informed decision. And then there's a button that says invest now. So you hit that and you can start answering questions where the system starts filling out the documentation for you, and you can electronically sign it, and everything is, it walks you through that process. If you have any questions during that process, you can set up a call with us and just email us and we can walk you through it. We also recommend touring the building. So you can tour the building by emailing grow@homesteadcowork.ca, and we can give you access anytime 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We have staff on site to tour you. As well, keep your eye open for any dates for open houses that we're hosting, and that's where you get to come and meet board members and other like-minded investors. So this is our contact information. Our email is grow@homesteadcowork.ca. My number is 780-222-7420 if you need to call and reach anyone. And then the address of the building itself is 10526 Jasper Avenue, Edmonton, Alberta. And Suite 202 is where Homestead Coworking is and where our reception is if you want to stop by the building. So with that, thank you very much for joining or for watching our recording. And we hope to see you soon, either at one of our live webinar recordings or at our open houses.